We are just a week away from one of the largest 40K tournaments in North America, the Nova Open. This same weekend, at about the same times, on the same days, there is also another large 40K Grand Tournament event drawing massive attention from competitive players. And no, it's not on the other side of the country. Rather, it's happening in Westminster, Maryland, not even 2 hours away. The event, known as the Let Freedom Ring Grand Tournament, is being hosted by a local game store in Westminster called Tables and Towers, and it's marketing itself as an alternative tournament option to Nova, a fact that is shining a light on controversy behind the scenes. So, why is this happening? And why are some of the best players in Warhammer torn on where to go? Well, let's dive into it. To understand how this happened and why it's so important, we have to introduce ourselves to the key parties involved. The first is the Nova Open. This is a wargaming convention popular for both its attendance size and its focus on organized play. In years past, it has hosted upwards of 3,000 players across its range of games. Nova's 40K event in particular sells out quickly online, and this year was no different as players all over the world were slamming the refresh button on their computers in hopes of getting a ticket to the event. And those tickets are not cheap, with many event prices upwards of $100 to attend. The second party we need to familiarize ourselves with is Anthony Birdsong. Birdsong is a Warhammer community figure, and he is both the owner of the Tables and Towers game store, as well as a very active competitive player, currently ranked 14th in the ITC's overall category. Now that we know who we're focusing on, let's take a look at the timeline leading up to the tournament's schism. When Nova ticket sales went live on April 2nd, their website looked a lot like you might expect. Looking at it together today, it has a brief description of what they were about, promotional pictures from years previous, a link to learn more about the event and buy your tickets, as well as a few tabs across the top of the page where you could explore their listings, rules, and contact information. Under Nova's About section is a drop-down menu where the word COVID was listed. If you click on this option, the page will redirect you here to a page which has everything you need to know about the event's COVID policy. The two major rules the event has and had at their time of posting are, one, that all guests are expected to wear masks at all times, and two, that all guests would need to show proof of vaccination against COVID-19 at least 14 days prior to the event. However, as many guests noticed, their COVID policy section has another note at the bottom titled Future Changes, which states, and I'm quoting here, "The Nova Open is actively monitoring conditions, and these health and safety procedures are subject to change as conditions warrant. Please stay tuned to the Nova Open website for more information and updates as we continue to monitor the course of the pandemic." This gave some customers the impression that these requirements would be changed as the CDC's recommendations did. This was not the case, as following the example of other large events like Gen Con, the Nova Open decided to finalize their policy on August 3rd, with the official posting about this going up on August 13th on their official Facebook page. This was 2 weeks after the July 18th ticket refund deadline, a fact that would become a point of criticism from some ticket holders who had either not known the policy beforehand or had thought that it would be changed by the time of the event. This was all set up for August 6th, when Anthony Birdsong made a public post that he would be sitting out of Nova this year. The comment is public on Facebook, which you can see for yourself and in Anthony's own words there if you are interested. A few days later, Birdsong posted again, stating that he was going to take this a step further on August 8th. This is when he announced the Let Freedom Ring Grand Tournament, a 3-day, 100-player, competitive 40K event which promised free admission as well as a refund to any Nova players in attendance. There's a lot more to it than that, which I will cover later in the video. But to understand Birdsong's decisions, we should address the complaints levied against Nova, as well as Nova's official response. Comments on Nova's official Facebook post were disabled, likely due to them expecting some backlash. But from talking with sources across several platforms, I found the 3 most common complaints were, and in order, 1, that the August 13th finalization of the COVID policy was done after Nova's refund deadline, meaning that players expecting the update found that they were unable to refund their tickets. I reached out to Birdsong for comment on the matter. He stated that this complaint was one of his greatest issues with the whole thing. To paraphrase what he said, and this is not a direct quote, businesses should be free to make their own choices regarding how they want things to run. Consumers will choose to spend their money based on those informed choices. But it is wrong to deceive your customers, which is what Nova may have done by suggesting that they might change their policy, then waiting for after customers are stuck with the bill to announce that it was final. The second major complaint is that the policy didn't reflect the current CDC guidelines for large gatherings, being, quote, more strict than even the airport, as one commenter put it. I don't want to misrepresent the CDC recommendation, so I'll just be linking the CDC in the description section down below, so if you're interested, you can go check that yourself. The third major complaint was that the consumer wasn't aware of any policy in the first place, and it should have been made more clear on their website. When I investigated this claim, I found 2 potential causes for it. First, that the Nova policy on COVID is not present on their front page, requiring you to menu through their About Us tab to see it. And second, that you could go through the whole process of buying a ticket online without ever being informed of the masking or vaccination requirement. I reached out to Nova for comment, and they were happy to provide me with a written statement, which I'll be posting down below, highlighting an important section from his response that addresses the primary complaint. We, being Nova, are sympathetic to those who purchased a ticket and acknowledged our COVID policy, but hoped we might relax it at the very end. But there is no reason that folks should have expected that. To maintain fairness to our thousands of attendees, we need to be consistently following our stated policies on refunds, so we could not make exceptions for one thing over others without being unfair to other attendees. We have successfully helped a number of folks transfer tickets to other people and are happy to continue to facilitate those sorts of changes. So while Nova acknowledges their policy may be disappointing to some, they were weighing this against how a change in policy could likewise impact other attendees and vendors. In addition, while Nova may have made the official finalization after the refund date, they were still willing to help facilitate ticket transfers for their affected guests. Nova's statement also clarifies that this decision wasn't based solely off of local or federal guidelines. Rather, the additional precautions were made in conjunction with industry trends. Nova cited Gen Con as a recent example. Nova didn't directly address complaints about the representation of the policy on their website, but the general solution for a ticket holder who feels wronged seems to be for them to find a willing person to transfer their ticket to. Albeit, if you're unable to, you're out of luck. I'll leave whether you think that is a fair solution up to you. Anthony Birdsong and Tables and Towers have a great reputation for their quality of tournament events that they've hosted in the past. That isn't a personal testimonial or an advertisement. Rather, it's a consistent review that the store has received online. which currently posts a full 5 stars on Google with over 100 reviews. It also seems to have a strong local player base based on the engagement of its public Facebook posts. It's not going to be a pushover event for competitive players either, as it has several big names already registered to the event. The first being Thomas Ogden. He's currently the 5th place overall ITC player who famously won the Atlantic City Open. Then there's Brad Chester, the current 8th place overall ITC player and a member of Art of War, as well as Brenton Weiss, who's the current 11th place overall ITC player. On top of the all-star competitive roster, this event boasts the best prizes I have ever seen for a grand tournament level event, including 2 professionally painted Reaver Titans and $2,000 in cash prizes that were donated by Birdsong himself. If you want to attend, there are only 12 tickets left at the time of this video's publishing, so be quick about grabbing your own if you want to give this tournament a try. In either case, the coming week has a lot for 40K players to be excited about, and while a schism has occurred at Nova, the addition of the Let Freedom Ring Grand Tournament may also provide wargamers with an alternative option if they felt like they were left out in the cold. That's all we had to talk about today. If you have any questions, drop a comment in the section down below, and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.